Talking about building, who's building at the moment, and should you build or should you buy something already done? Stay tuned. We're going to talk about that right now.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good morning.
Who is building? Good morning, Billy Bob. How are you?
I'm good. I'm here on a street of Curl/DY border, and I have to say there must be something in the air because there's a lot of people building.
There's a lot, hey. And often I ask myself, is it the residual of when money was cheap? People got the DAs through, people engaged builders on 6, 12, 18 months build, and it's all happening. And is it going to calm down after that? Is it now that the interest rates are double or triple where people were at, are people going to sort of calm down on booking a builder, on doing that renovation? It's going to be interesting how the next couple of quarters, maybe 3, 6, 12, 18 months are going to look with building.
Well, it's true. I don't know. Here's a bit of a question for you. Did you see as many new builds when the market was red hot?
I didn't. I think we've got to always remember that these pipelines are 12 to 24 month pipelines. And then, like Luke saying, there are risks to building, but they are, if on a residential build, like a home build, that's probably a 12 to 24 month pipeline from conception, thinking about it, finding it, building it. There's a truck. It's real.
Yeah.
And then there's also the reality with apartment buildings, that pipeline's probably more like 36 to 48 months. So if unit blocks are going to be built, it's going to be about 5 years before the conception stage to moving in on a lot of these bigger unit blocks.
Yeah. So I think what we're seeing now is prices have obviously corrected. I think it's actually never been more appealing if you can get the finance to buy a home. If you've been looking over the last 2 to 3 years, but I'm going to spin this camera around now because I kid you not, like there is probably more homes being built on this street than there is finished ones. You've got on the corner here, you've got on the corner there. Then if you go down, you've got 2 doors down there, and if I cross the road, there's even more happening. So we've got trucks coming up here, we've got cranes on site, we've got lollipop men diversing traffic. There is a lot going on. Look at this bad boy. Turning up all the steel.
Steel delivery.
And who knows, mate? There he goes, down the hill. You've got the crane operation in the background, stud walls. It's all going up. So there must be something in the air because there's a lot of people that are going to have a crack at, building. And these are not small homes by any means either. These are big operations.
The sentiment of people out there, and let's be honest, and I don't like to say it, is it's a little bit more of a consolidation period. So in periods of more money around, people are more optimistic. They're doing these builds. This is a consolidation period that the market's in where rates are triple what they were, and building costs ran when no one expected, and labour costs ran when no one expected. So I think one of the biggest things with building is fixing those variable costs or those variable things. In addition to that, what I don't like to also admit is our property market in the Northern Beaches has gone down. In some areas 10%, in some areas 20%. So you're actually dealing with the thing that people miss when they're building, and I don't mean to be a negative Nancy on it, but the thing that people miss with building is those variable costs that can move. It's building, it's labour, it's how cheap is your money, it's having money to splash around, and then it's there's the risks sort of associated with it. So there's a lot of moving parts when building.
It's true, and obviously that's why the finished home will always have its premium. People do love new and shiny. Luke said there, Northern Beach is epicenter of new builds is at the moment. Council needs to help more, but the second part to this, Mark, is we've got a couple of bit of land. We've got some land opportunities in Beacon Hill.
You got land.
Place.
You can always buy a block of land, build a beautiful project home. That manages your costs a little bit because once you sign a contract on the builder, so you get agreed to a build cost and off you go. And I do have to say, I'll tell you where it really, really works with people. If we first we'll talk about houses, then we'll talk about units. Where it works with people with houses is the costs of moving are so huge. If you're paying an agent 2%, and then you're paying stamp duty. Stamp duty is going to be 4%. Right? So your agent selling 4%, your stamp duty 4%, and don't forget the asset that you purchased. You paid 4% in stamp duty on that asset that you purchased. So to transact in and out of a property, there's almost about 10% of cost. So a lot of people love the place where they live. They love the neighbours. They love the location, and they look at that 10% cost on the overall asset. So if the asset's worth $1.5 million, they're looking at about 150 grand, 120 grand's worth of sort of costs. So to get into that house, costing them 4% of stamp duty. To get out of that house to buy something bigger, it's going to be on a greater price, 4%, and then 2% for the agent. Those costs are bloody huge, so you can understand why people do love the one that are.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's an important thing to remember. Interest rates up today. Stay tuned.
I reckon. I'd love to know what everyone out there reckons. Luke, what do you think? I reckon rates are up today.
Last one.
What do you reckon?
Over. I hope they stay neutral.
What do you reckon it's going to be today, though? What's your punt for rates?
0.25.
Up today. And you reckon it'll be last one?
I bloody hope so. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll be knocking on their door saying, I'm no longer contributing to inflation. Pull them back down.
Yeah. Well, it's good. Look, it's good that for anyone that doesn't know, inflation's starting to come back into line. So they may put it off.
Yeah.
Just bear in mind, whenever a rate goes up, it's 3 months before the full effect's felt. So we still haven't felt the full effect of last month or the months before.
It's true. All right. Well, thank you for this time this morning. What would you be doing in today's market? Building or buying? New?
I've always been a fan of buying the finished product. I think that my craft or my time is best spent selling properties for clients and managing properties for clients. That's where my time's always better spent. That's where I can maximize my money. I think when people are building, one of the biggest things they've got to put aside is hours per week for the build. And you'll be kidding yourself if you are putting 2 hours a week away for a year. Property. And when you go stuff like that, it's hard. So I reckon that you would be putting in at least a good 10 to 20 hours a week yourself, and I think your wife would be putting 10 to 20 hours a week herself, which is a 40-hour week you're both putting aside to dedicating to making sure that property's built properly, planning, choosing bits and pieces, monitoring builders, talking about it with friends and family. Like there's a lot of time there.
That's it. But
and renting, Billy, don't forget about renting a place when you are doing the renovation. if you're renting for $500 a week or $1,000 a week, a new family home while you're building your family home, there's those costs. But I have been pretty negative today about building.
Do you know what? I heard a friend the way they got around that was they built a pool house first, moved into the pool house, and then they built the main house.
Not bad, not bad.
So maybe
What about
the
strata? What about buying a new building in a strata? A unit.
What about it?
Not a bad idea, buy new.
No, not at all. Great idea. Seen some
Do you know what I mean?
huge successes.
And generally not too risky. We had across the road settled to Delmar from us had about 70 odd units to settle. Everyone's moved in. Everyone got really good rents. People are in there. They're happy. So buying new, like whether it's a new house done or buying a new unit done, not a bad idea. But you are paying for the developer to profit out of you a little bit. And people are trying to, when they're buying a house, they sort of want to do it themselves so they can capitalise on that upshot.
Yeah. It's really well said. It's well said. And we will back the new builds. We will back the building. And either or, we've got something for you at the moment.
Yeah, and I do think I like being counterintuitive. It may actually be a good time to build something. I think you will find costs, labour, building over the next 3 to months are going to come back to their normal levels. I think that I'm seeing it with builders that I personally know that they've got, before if you asked them to do a job, they were like uncomfortably laughing, saying, "No, look, I just got no time." But I think now materials are becoming more readily available and labours are coming more readily available. So it could be maybe a good idea in the pipe over the next 12 to 24 months to do a build, because I think those costs are going to be a little bit more sensible than what they've been the last 12 months.
Yeah, and I like the sound of that.
All right, buddy. That is building or buying now. Make your own decision, but don't forget about things that we've spoken about today. They're really important considerations to go through, and they can easily be undervalued, these things we spoke about today. So make sure you're putting a lot of weight, a lot of thought and consideration around these sort of things. But there's plenty of people out there that are building and making a fortune from it, and there's plenty of people that are buying new and doing well out of it as well. So they're both real good.
That's the show. I can't believe how busy it is up here.
It's flat out.
There is a top school around the corner, private hospital, but still, I could just stand here with a signboard, free appraisal.
You could, lollipop boy. And also, is your arm must be dying.
Yeah, I had a bit of workout. I did a couple of changes. I don't know if you noticed.
When you're holding the camera up all the time, it's like,
Yeah, I had to swap it. I've been swapping.
All right. Take care, everyone. That is building or buying new.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye.